desert or Tijuana by the time you pick them up. This is an absolute dangerous bill.
Yeah, people have to realize that, and you're going to make sure they do. Pastor, good luck on the book. Thank you for coming on as always. We appreciate it.
So the problem is that the bill did pass. That's part of the problem.
What is the benefit of the bill? What's the problem, and what does the bill solve in terms of giving us a solution? What is AB 45 for?
Yeah, so let's see.
Can you pull that up real quick?
Yeah. So this bill, the Family Preparedness Plan Act of 2025, will expand the type of person who is authorized to execute a caregiver's authorization affidavit to include a non-relative extended family member as defined, and grant them the same rights to authorize school-related medical care as defined for the minor that are given to guardians as specified. By expanding who is authorized to sign a caregiver's authorization affidavit for purposes under penalty of plagiary. Let me see. The bill would amend the statutory form for a caregiver's authorization affidavit. Let me see. I think that this one is not. Let me see. The bill would authorize a court in its discrimination to appoint a custodial parent and a person nominated by custodial parents as joint guardians of the person of a minor if the custodial parent will be temporarily unavailable due to specified circumstances, including, among other things, an immigration-related administrative action as specified. So, and that's what I kind of got. I mean, you could read more if you want to, but that's kind of what I got from it. It was intended for, like, if somebody was potentially deported.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you have like a friend or a family member that could take care of your child while, you know, I guess you were trying to figure things out, or you went through your process or whatever, but it's an open-ended bill. So there's no guidelines to specify, anything. And all they need is like paperwork. They don't have to go before a judge to assume custody.
Right. And that's the issue. It doesn't specify what is actually for. Yes, we can have ideals. They can say what we came up with the bill for, and that may be true. But we also know that things like this can be expanded on in terms of having control over, people that don't know their rights. So, people may want to, hey, put your children in the trust. Nothing stronger than the trust. I don't care what paperwork you got. The trust owns the kids, so you don't have any say-so over it. So that would be my best guess. But that just protects the people that are here that are worried, because we always know that there's always levels, and layers to these bills, and, the power that it has in terms of reaching, certain demographics of people, because it also can delve and probably reach into people that homeschool, that's an issue that a lot of people talk about, California has, or different states. But yeah, the whole deporting, I can kind of see that, but also sometimes you have people that leave their kids at school, too much. So it's like, okay, well, you don't want them? I'll go ahead and take them. Let me just sign this paper. And now I have, an affidavit saying that, yeah, I control the children. So it can be for, CPS reasons. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can look at it. But I just tell people, when you see stuff like this, make sure you do your due diligence, and we read through the bills as we're doing and ask questions, and, kind of use your imagination on pros and cons. That's how we learn. If you're wrong, then great. Okay, cool. It's not as bad as I thought it was. But then if you learn, okay, well, why is it, using this language, because a lot of times people get tripped up on language. You think you understand, but it means something totally different, especially if it's in a contract, if it's in a bill. This is a legally binding contract. So you want to definitely look up contract law and, legalese terms, because that's what they're going by.
Yeah, I got a lot to say. No, it's fine. No, so I think that things like this, like having it like open like that for interpretation, is where we get into trouble with a lot of things. I watch these crazy videos where people do auditing or whatever like that in public places, or there'll be videos with interactions with police officers and other scenarios. And there's this one that I watch called Audit the Audit, and what he does is he actually goes over the police interaction, but then he also goes to the law based on whatever city or state that particular interaction is in. And some of the stuff could be, the cop will say one thing. But then when he goes into the law, like sometimes it's vague, you know what I mean? Like the interpretation, sometimes it's difficult to understand. There was another one. I don't know if you've seen this. You probably seen this guy. He's like a judge. He wears glasses and kind of balding. He wears kind of wild color suits and stuff like that. Well, he's on YouTube, whatever, but he sits up there, and he's actually he's pretty cool, because he's actually objective, in a lot of his cases. And he talks about, like, he basically gives probable cause. Like, he wants to see, like, is this probable cause, like, in this scenario. And so, like, there's been a couple dudes where they'll stop the guy, and the law is like you can't necessarily charge this person if you stop them for one thing, and then and it's not probable cause, but then you find something else. So like you kind of broken the law. You stop for something else. So he's dismissed a lot of cases like that. And with this right here, like, it's just vague and open, and like, to your point, somebody could be like, hey, you know what? That kid's at the playground at the same time every day. Hey, let me take, like people are sick, and you have to think on both sides of it. Like, what can be the pros of this? Yeah, we might want to help people who get deported or whatever. I mean, I got a different opinion about that. But on the flip side, like, how can this be used for bad? I mean, it's like I work in a technical field, so if you're building a website, you got to think about, okay, what are the pros? You know what I'm saying? What are all the things that I want to see? But then what are the cons, or what things could happen, or what if I do this, or what if I make changes here? And I don't think, actually, I don't know if they fully think about this stuff when they present it or vote it in. But then sometimes I'm thinking, like, are you guys trying to exploit our children? And I know that's jumping off the deep end, but a lot of things that have been passed, like, oh, if our child wants to have a sex change, or they feel like that they're feeling like they're the opposite sex, that you don't have to tell us, like, the stuff like that. Them having pride celebrations inside of the schools, the elementary schools. And just hear about all these different type of things that are happening, and then this is another thing that happens which makes it a lot easier for people who have the wrong agenda, or have, don't have the right mindset as it comes relates to things, and this gives them, an open opportunity to take advantage of it, for, negatively, and it puts a lot of people at risk because they may not fully understand it. You know what I'm saying? They may like it's just a lot of factors in play, and I'll be looking up like, hey, like, how did they vote this in? Like, like what could I have done to fix this? But it's nothing I could have done on the back end because it's based on the people that we vote into office who does this stuff, And for all those people to say, my vote doesn't matter, like when it comes to things like this, your vote matters, so people don't vote in things like this that could potentially affect you or somebody you know. So I just think it's not well thought out. Um, they thought about, yeah, it may be a good thing on one side, but you didn't think about the negative things, or you didn't really care about the negative things that could potentially happen, for voting yes on a bill like this. So yeah, I just think it's crazy. Hopefully, there's some correction or some clarity where there's, a little more restriction. It can't be like open to everybody. Yeah, I could just do this for any kid. Like that's not gonna be good for anybody because yeah, they would have to go somewhere else because if they did something to mine. Hey, hey, I may not be Liam Neeson, but I may not have a special skill, but I'm gonna acquire some skills from somewhere.
Good luck.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I would need it because they're making it hard for like just the regular citizen to live, like a cool life. You got to be worried about different things like this.